Oh my gosh, and I have pit stains already. Hey everyone, it's Olivia and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Olivia, I'm 26 years old, I'm from San Diego, California, and I'm autistic. And here at my YouTube channel, I make videos. Okay. I'm a little bit sicky. If you're new here, I don't normally sound like this. But anyways, I make videos about autism, specifically in adults and females, so if that's something that you are interested in, I would super appreciate a like and subscribe. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning back in. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about autism and picky eating. This is something that is super common in the autistic community, not just for kids, but for adults too. And it's something that I deal with and have dealt with on a regular basis for my whole life. So I thought I would do a video on it. Before I jump into picky eating, I would just like to thank this video's sponsor, which is once again Skillshare. If you don't know what they are, they're an online worldwide learning community, and they basically have tutorials on how to do a bunch of awesome stuff. There's everything from graphic design to video editing, painting, making clothes. Skillshare is also great for leveling up skills you already have. So in the last video they sponsored, I had taken a course on photoshopping to up my Photoshop skills. This week I took a course on plants. I'm sure I've said this in the past, but I have like a black thumb. But I love plants, and so I have a bunch of fake plants. But I really wanted to have some alive, living, beautiful plants, so I thought I would take this course. The name of this specific course, if you'd like to take it, is Gardening 101, A Guide for Growing and Caring for Plants by Geraldine Lavin. It was great. I've been able to keep succulents alive, because yes, I even killed succulents, which is amazing and just something I never thought I was capable of. So if you'd like to also learn how to not kill every plant that you bring home, or any other skill, head down to the link below, and the first 1,000 people to click on that link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Okay, finally jumping into picky eating. I've been a picky eater since birth, just like all my autism traits have been present since birth. I've told the story in multiple videos, but I'm going to tell it one more time in this video. Probably not the last time. When I was a baby, my mom would give me food, like baby food with chunks of vegetables and chicken in it in my high chair, and I would eat all the vegetables, put the chicken in my mouth, suck the flavor out, and then spit it out and put it in a nice neat pile on my high chair. So from a young age, I've never eaten meat. I'm a vegetarian, but not because, you know, it's an animal or something, just because I don't like the texture of it. Because clearly I like the taste, because I would suck out the taste of the chicken, and I'll eat things that have been cooked with meat, like stews, stuff like that, but it's the texture that I don't like. And a lot of times with picky eating, for an autistic person, it has to do with texture and basically all of our sensory sensitivities. Because we are so sensitive with our senses, and we have a lot of aversions to certain smells, tastes, textures, colors, you know, whatever it may be, this often leads us to become picky eaters. And oftentimes, we will have what is known as the Autism Diet, or like the white yellow food diet, which basically is what it sounds like. You eat white, like bland food, so like white rice, pasta with butter, bread, potatoes, french fries, stuff like that. Anything that's like nice and bland, that's good for us. We basically eat like children, but we don't grow out of it. Like into adulthood, we also eat like children. I still to this day order pasta with butter at restaurants. Granted, I've gotten way better and less picky as I've gotten older, but I'm still pretty limited on what I eat. And I'll go into that a little later. But going back to why autistic people often have such limited diets, going back to, I said texture, so food textures. If it's a texture in our mouth we don't like, then we probably aren't going to eat it because it can send us into sensory overload, which can lead to meltdowns. So we will avoid that food at all costs. So some people will only eat creamy food. Some people will only eat crunchy foods. For me, obviously I have texture aversion to really chewy things like meat and stuff like that, where I really have to chew. I can eat things that are crunchy and chew those, that's fine, but it's the chewy, constant chew that is not good for me. I am fine eating creamy foods that are perfectly smooth though. So mashed potatoes, if they're perfectly smooth, delicious, I could eat them every day. But oatmeal or something that has it's not completely smooth, but it's mushy, that's a no-go for me. I'm not saying any of this makes sense, but it's just how our brains work. Another sensory issue to certain foods we can have is to the temperature of the food. So for me personally, I do not like hot liquids going down my throat. So no hot coffee, no hot chocolate, teas, soups that are brothy. I'm fine eating a cream-based soup, that potato soup or broccoli cheddar soup from Panera per se, or something like that. That's almost more like a puree. That's fine. But the second the soup is very brothy and clear, that's a no-go. And it took me forever to figure out that it was the aversion to hot liquid going down my throat, because I used to not understand, why don't I like coffee? Why don't I like hot chocolate? Because I like the taste of coffee and ice cream or tiramisu or something. And obviously I like chocolate milk because I love milk. I shouldn't say obviously, I've never told you that, but I drink milk. That's another white food. I just am drinking milk all the time. Literally, I only drink 2 beverages on a day-to-day, and that is water and milk. And then I'll splurge sometimes and get a ginger ale on a plane, but that's about it. But anyways, going back, I never understood if I like chocolate milk, why don't I like hot chocolate? And then finally it dawned on me, oh, I don't like really hot things going down my throat. Another thing with temperatures is I need cold things, foods that are supposed to be cold, to be very cold. Water, and I'm not saying water is supposed to be cold, but for me, I need ice water to drink. Alex, he drinks room temperature water, and room temperature water makes me gag. I just do not like room temperature water. But other things ice cream needs to be really cold. The second it starts to get melty, I don't want it. And I love sweets, but I just don't want it. Thankfully, Alex also loves melty ice cream. We're just the opposites of each other. That's why we work. So I give him the ice cream once it starts getting melted. Another thing, yogurt, I really like yogurt. Again, smooth yogurt, not with chunks of fruit, because fruits are other things that the texture I don't like. Yet I will eat fruits blended in a smoothie. Love smoothies, making smoothie bowls, stuff like that, but just fruit, berries. I'll eat cantaloupe, basically all the melons, cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, and apples. But basically anything else, it has to be blended in a smoothie. I don't like the texture. Why was I talking about that? Oh, yogurt, right. So the second yogurt becomes not ice cold from the fridge, I literally will start to gag as I'm trying to finish it, which is really gross. And it's it makes no sense. I don't want to be gagging. It's not by choice, but I have to eat yogurt pretty quickly right out of the fridge, or else I'll start to gag the second it becomes kind of a little bit less cold. One of the biggest sensory issues that I have, and I know a lot of other autistic people have, is with certain smells. Smells can be so overpowering. I've obviously told this story a million times too about cigarettes in cars, and foods obviously have smells, and so that's another reason we can be picky with what we eat based on how a food smells. One, we could just not like the smell of a certain food, and 2, that smell could then overwhelm us. Again, it all has to kind of do with sensory things. Another thing could be, the color and shape of food. This isn't necessarily me. If a food is a weird color or shape, I'm not sure it really matters to me so much. But some people, some autistic people, some neurotypical people, obviously won't eat food if they look weird or are a weird color. But again, it just kind of all goes back to our sensitivity issues and being highly sensitive people. The other reason we can be picky eaters besides our sensitivity issues has to do with the fact that our brains like sameness and routine. So once, I or any autistic person finds a food that they like, they'll usually grab onto it really tight and want to eat it all the time. And that's because our brain is familiar with the food, it knows it likes the food, there's going to be no surprises, and it's the same over and over. Like for me personally, cereal. I could eat cereal for every meal of every day and be completely fine for my entire life. I love cereal. I kid you not, I have at least 3 bowls a day. It's a terrible habit, but I'm obsessed with cereal, and that's basically like that comfort food. Like anytime I'm feeling stressed or had a bad day or whatever, my brain's like cereal. We know it's yummy, we know it's delicious, and that's something that my brain takes comfort in. So that also goes back to reasons why autistic people of any age can be picky with their foods, because our brains rely on sameness to keep us calm and keep us regulated. Waking up in the morning and eating the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is a routine, and autistic people love routine. So again, it just all goes back to the sameness and routine and not overwhelming our already overwhelmed brain by mixing up our food routine. It's just easier and less anxiety ridden to eat the same foods. Now going back to the white autism diet, a lot of times, obviously, as you can probably guess, those types of food aren't super nutritious, and so autistic people can lack proper nutrients because if they're only eating pasta and bread, that's no protein, that's no vitamins that vegetables or fruits would give you. So it can be very hard to get autistic children especially to have a proper diet that nourishes our body. A lot of us are malnourished. I am malnourished myself, even as an adult. A lot of times those foods are limited in protein. That was a big struggle for my parents because I didn't like meat. So what would I eat for protein? Thankfully, I think a lot of kids like chicken nuggets, which I'm not saying that's healthy, but at least it's some protein, I think, with the chicken. But for me, I didn't have that. So it was a battle to get me to have proper protein. So for me growing up, my limited foods were cereal, obviously I mentioned, pasta with butter, milk, cheese, bread, pizza crust. I didn't like pizza, I liked pizza crust. Even to this day, even though I like pizza, the sauce has to be very light or I still won't eat it, or I'll scrape it off. But so I ate pizza crust, obviously ice cream, and any kind of sweets I liked, but it had to be certain flavors. Vanilla, basically, bland flavors. I did like peanut butter, so peanut butter sandwiches were something I would have for lunch. I also loved refried beans and rice, so that was a way that I could get my protein, was through the beans. Maybe not the healthiest form of bean, but it was yummy and I ate it, and so my parents would feed me that on probably once or twice a week, so that I got some protein there with some Mexican food. And thankfully we live in San Diego where there's delicious Mexican food, so I was eating that pretty regularly, and that was fine with me. Basically the staples of my diet and a lot of autistic kids' diets within the Autism White diet are pasta, bread, cheese, basically anything Italian. Italy was my dream place. I partly grew up in Italy, and it was fantastic because all they eat is pasta and bread and cookies and ice cream and literally all the foods I like. So over there, I really wasn't that picky of an eater. I've gotten a lot better as I've gotten older with things that I'll eat. So now I will eat some fish. Usually it's the fried in a taco variety, but I will eat fish. I still don't eat any meats. I do like fruits blended in smoothies, and I actually really do like vegetables. I like most vegetables, and I'll eat most vegetables just fine, and I like them. One thing that I want to say is, if you know somebody who has a picky diet, maybe they're autistic, maybe they aren't, either way, don't make them feel bad for it. I was constantly made to feel bad because of my picky diet. And I don't think the people were doing it on purpose to make me feel bad, but I was constantly teased for my picky diet, and it made me even more self-conscious than I already was about having a limited diet. You know, whenever we'd go out to eat somewhere with other people, I would be embarrassed to have to ask for a special order because I didn't like anything that was on the menu. And then I would get teased about asking for said special order. And so it was just kind of a vicious cycle where I already felt bad and then they would make me feel even worse, even though it was supposedly in good fun. So never make fun of people who have a really limited special diet. We're not doing it on purpose. It's like, I wish I liked more foods. I love eating, but I just don't. A lot of times we feel like burdens, you know, like when I was a kid and I was with, you know, another family or family member or something, you know, having to say like, I'm really sorry, I don't like this, can I get something else, was like traumatizing to me. I didn't want to do it. So oftentimes I would just, you know, either not eat or pick at the food they gave me and pretend that I ate it. Like I'd always pretend that I ate it somehow. But yeah, so it was just, I always felt like a burden. I was embarrassed. So if you know somebody who is a picky eater, they probably feel kind of bad about it. So don't make them feel worse. Okay, that is it for today's video. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Again, check out the link below to get a free 1-month trial if you're the first 1,000 people to click on it. Have a wonderful week, guys. God bless, and I will see you soon.